My name is Colwick Wilson. I'm at the University of the Southern Caribbean in Trinidad in the West Indies. The title of my talk today is Dimensions of Forgiveness and Flourishing in U.S. and Caribbean-born Black men. Flourishing is a broad concept that encompasses multiple domains of human functioning. Although multiple definitions of flourishing have been offered, many of these definitions have focused on mental and physical health and happiness as key components of flourishing. Theorists have suggested that meaning in life, purpose, social relationships, and financial well-being are also foundational to human flourishing. The founder of modern-day study of positive psychology suggested that factors such as engagement, relationships, meaning, and accomplishments were key in human flourishing. But he also retained a central focus on positive emotions. Yet, other scholars have emphasized the importance of character virtues. Flourishing in the midst of adversity is a challenge faced worldwide by racial minorities who experience high levels of racially based stressors. For example, Black men are among the most discriminated against and tend to experience the greatest negative impact on flourishing outcomes such as mental health. Discrimination against Black men occurs in multiple forms. Black men often experience a greater number of life stressors, such as being unfairly fired, not hired for a job, or denied a bank loan. Furthermore, Black men experience high levels of everyday discrimination where they are not treated with same courtesy as others. They're viewed as being suspicious or treated as though they are not very smart. Black men are often watched more closely at work, feel they have to work harder to get recognized and treated poorly at work. Given such adverse circumstances, what factors might promote flourishing and protect vulnerable groups like Black men from experiencing negative outcomes? Forgiveness is multidimensional. Forgiveness of others is probably the most well-known dimension of forgiveness and focuses on the experiences of victims who forgive an offender. This type of forgiveness involves deciding to forgive and then working to eventually experience emotional forgiveness of the offender, often through a series of stages. It is important not to confuse forgiving others with giving up on the pursuit of justice or reconciliation. Self-forgiveness involves recognizing one's own wrongdoing and working to make the amends for that wrongdoing, and then and only then attempting to reorient oneself to key values and rebuild one's sense of self-esteem. Self-forgiveness involves overcoming self-condemnation, which includes experiences such as guilt, shame, and self-loathing. Importantly, self-forgiveness should not be entered into lightly. Every attempt should be made to right the wrong, and tendencies to rationalize, diminish, or even ignore the wrongdoing should be defended against. We also examine the experience of divine forgiveness in this study, as well as seeking forgiveness. Divine forgiveness is the experience of feeling forgiven by God. Religious and spiritual individuals often place a very high priority on feeling forgiven by the divine, not only offering immediate relief of distress, but also offering spiritual and eternal benefits. Seeking forgiveness is a uniquely different experience that is the proactive attempt to make an apology or make amends upon recognizing that one has wronged another. In this study, we focus on forgiveness of others, self-forgiveness, divine forgiveness, and seeking forgiveness, and how these dimensions of forgiveness are related to mental health. A key aspect of flourishing as such is established between mental health and flourishing. We examine predictions made from the stress and coping theories of forgiveness and self-forgiveness, and extend these predictions to divine forgiveness and seeking forgiveness. The stress and coping theories of forgiveness of others and self-forgiveness suggest that experiencing a state of unforgiveness in response to being treated poorly or unjustly is stressful. Although there are many ways to deal with stress resulting from the unforgiven state, forgiveness can sometimes be an effective model and produce a response. As Model 1 depicts, these theories suggest that forgiveness of others and self-forgiveness can have direct and beneficial effects on the central aspects of flourishing, such as mental and physical health and happiness. But as Model 2 illustrates, these theories suggest that forgiveness of others and self-forgiveness can protect individuals by reducing the negative effects of stress on human flourishing. Therefore, we examine the direct beneficial associations between dimensions of forgiveness and mental health. We further aim to determine which, if any, dimensions of forgiveness might provide a buffering or antagonizing effect on potentially unforgiven, stressful experiences known to diminish mental health and detract from flourishing. This was a self-administered survey study of 525 Black, primarily US and Caribbean-born men living in the United States. The men were 49 years of age on average, 60% were married or had a partner, 51% were Protestant, 20% were Muslim, 21% were affiliated with another religion, and 8% had no religious affiliation. Participants had graduated from high school at 29%, some attended college, 39%, or graduated from college, 32%. The survey included measures such as descriptive statements that were used to characterize how the individual felt, to which the individual agreed or disagreed. Depression symptoms was measured with statements like, I feel depressed. Life stress was measured with statements like, in the past 5 years, have you been employed or unemployed and looking for work, or have you moved to a worse neighborhood? The everyday discrimination measured included statements like, how often are you treated with less respect and courtesy? Job discrimination was measured using items like, do you feel like you have to work twice as hard as others to get a good evaluation? The forgiving others measures included, I have forgiven those who have hurt me. Self-forgiveness was measured with items like, I find it hard to forgive myself. Divine forgiveness was measured with items like, I know God forgives me. And finally, seeking forgiveness was measured with items like, I ask for the person's forgiveness when I've hurt someone. In the analysis that we conducted, Our first interest was to determine if the 4 dimensions of forgiveness were associated with reductions in depression symptoms. Analysis confirmed that forgiveness of others and self-forgiveness had beneficial association with fewer depression symptoms, but the other dimensions showed no significant relationship. Second, we examined if forgiveness might buffer the negative effects of stress on depression. Here, the findings are nuanced, but interesting. Figures 1 and 2 showed that those with high levels of forgiveness of others and divine forgiveness showed a weaker relationship of recent life stress with depression symptoms. But figure 3 shows that those with high levels of forgiveness of others showed a stronger relationship between everyday discrimination and depression. Forgiveness of others and self-forgiveness are directly associated with reduced depression symptoms. However, when examining how forgiveness might buffer the effects of stress, the picture becomes quite interesting. When considering general life stress, forgiveness of others and divine forgiveness have a protective factor on the association between life stress and depression. That is, for those with higher levels of forgiveness of others and divine forgiveness, there was no statistical relationship between life stress and depression. When these dimensions of forgiveness are not strongly present, the relationship between life stress and depression is a positive and strong one, as it typically is. This is astounding, since the relationship between life stress and depression is perhaps one of the greatest and strongest and most robust relationship in the study of mental health and flourishing. And forgiveness erases that powerful detrimental relationship. In the case of forgiveness of others and divine forgiveness, we have identified a protective variable that the stress and coping theory of forgiveness of others would denote as a beneficial way of coping with the stress of unforgiveness. This story takes a U-turn when we consider everyday discrimination. In this case, the patterns are the exact opposite. For Black men with high levels of forgiveness of others, the relationship between everyday discrimination and depression is at its strongest. There are several potential explanations. First, the understanding of forgiveness among the general population is quite varied. Often people believe that forgiveness is more about giving up on justice or being forced to repair broken relationships against one's will. It is often thought of as just letting folks off the hook without having to take responsibility. It would not be no wonder that Black men, who arguably have been the most mistreated and blatantly discriminated against group, would experience aggravation at the notion of forgiveness, and this might only fuel the relationship between everyday discrimination and depression. A second possibility is that sometimes coping reflects high stress and is not an independent measure of how stress is being dealt with. That is, if forgiveness is a coping measure, then sometimes an individual might report high amounts of forgiveness that simply reflects the need to forgive a great number of offenses and offenders. In this case, high forgiveness is continued with high interpersonal stress and offense, and the true effects of coping are difficult to disentangle unless the data are longitudinal in nature. It is very clear that in any event, forgiveness scientists and frontline forgiveness practitioners may well need to consider race and stressor type when conceptualizing forgiveness as a viable coping response. Careful education on forgiveness that separates it from other close notions of reconciliation and justice may well be critical. Further, justice, reconciliation, and systemic inequality may have to be considered when studying and promoting forgiveness and flourishing among racial minorities.